Welcome to Exploring Mystère, where presence meets enchantment and the unseen stirs into existence. I'm Stephanie Foley, your guide into the wilds of wonder, where curiosity meets intuition, embodied wisdom, and ancient mystery systems. Each episode opens a portal. Our creative alchemy and our embodied transformations are the threads of subtle magic that we weave into our everyday lives. And it's this cosmic dream weaving, the way that we create worlds. So, take a breath. Let your senses soften. Suspend disbelief and enter with me into the mystery. The ancient wisdom keepers knew that we are dreaming the world into being. Let's explore the imaginal realm as the seedbed of reality. How does sacred dreaming, quantum entanglement, and really emotions as bio-electromagnetic fields, how do these things shape what we live and what our experience is in this three-dimensional reality? We are always dreaming, not just at night. Even a daydream has the potent power of dreaming the world into being. Imagination is actually an interdimensional sense in a similar way that our five senses, sight, touch, sound, etc., are our physical three-dimensional senses. We use imagination as our interdimensional sense to map out other worlds, to explore interdimensional and time travel in our sleeping and waking and shamanic dreams. Our imagination is really a portal to just another way of knowing or access to another library. I know that the temptation is to say, it's just my imagination, or, that's just your imagination. Let's dig into that. What does that really mean? Where does it come from? If it's just your imagination, that's fine, but that's so dismissive, like it's nothing. And is it really nothing? So I just want to dig into that a little bit. What is it exactly? Where do you think that comes from? What is your imagination? Our imaginations really do come from somewhere. The uniqueness of each vision or dream, it's really an indicator. On some level, they're real. Whether that's emotional, symbolic, or energetic, our dreams form this scaffolding of the lives that we live. Let's try a little exercise of just your imagination. Okay, I want you to imagine a building with a blue door. Really flesh it out in your mind's eye. Take in the building, its size, its color. Where is it? Is it in the city? Is it in the country? What kind of building is it? And then go into the door, like what kind of handle is on the door? Is there a window? Is there not a window? Now, why would we both be imagining a building with a blue door and our visions be completely different? Perhaps we're drawing from somewhere, some form of library, some consciousness library that we can access through our imaginations. And, Carl Jung talked a lot about the collective consciousness and the collective unconscious and archetypal patterns. So there are certain things that we dream that are going to be common to each other because of these really big overarching archetypes that kind of tend to be repetitive stories throughout humanity. And then there's going to be things that are very, very specific and unique and individual based on our own personal, very personal, symbolic, emotional, and energetic states. So on some level, each vision becomes the scaffolding of the lives we live. And on the collective level, we're all pooling our energy into a vision and a dreamscape, which is becoming reality for the whole. And whether that's a collective dream or a collective nightmare depends on the degree to which we've worked through our karma and shadows, right? The dream you are dreaming is dreaming you back. Imagination is not pretend. It's the soul's compass. It's a sacred remembering of what wants to become, what wants to come into being, because whether we realize it or not, we are always dreaming the world into being. So let's explore this together. The ways that we weave the world through wonder, word, and will. Starting with brain states, we're always dreaming, not just at night. We can dream in the day. Our daydreams are fueled by the same kind of emotional, symbolic, and energetic power that we bring to them. Our ordinary waking reality, beta states. It's where we're focused, alert, thinking, I'm in beta right now. And if I open my mind, I can bring in things, but mostly I'm focused on waking consciousness, talking to you, making this podcast, getting things done. Beta tends to crowd out imagination. So even when I'm doing this and I want to bring in something imaginative, you'll see my body language shift. You'll see me pause and kind of allow something to come through, like something's happening, right? In that deep, deep dream state. And that's where we have our sleeping dreams. And you might wake up and say, oh, I had the weirdest dream last night. And isn't it funny that we often feel really safe sharing those dreams? It's much less vulnerable, but you're less likely to share a daydream that way. Like if we have more control feels more vulnerable, because then we have to reveal who we really are and what we really desire. And less control feels less vulnerable because, well, that's just crazy. It's symbolic, or it came from nowhere. And that's part of why shadow work is so important, so that we can become clearer, courageous, conscious dreamers with sending out like pure signals of what our thought form, feeling form, combo, electromagnetic pulses is dreaming into being. Okay, let's keep going. The alpha state is a calm, meditative, daydreaming kind of state. You can think of it as like the edge of the forest, a space in between. It's a soft landing. It's great for imagination and creativity. I think that's where I go sometimes in the midst of a podcast, where I'm deeply into that beta, but I want to let a little shimmer come through, so I tap into the alpha and I kind of float in between. Gamma is this peak consciousness kind of state. It's heightened awareness, unity, spiritual awakening, mystical states, or a really intense learning. You can think of it as almost the interconnected consciousness. It's where we are less aware of self, and there's something bigger in the consciousness. It's super fascinating because it can bring like a spontaneous knowing or an epiphany, trans-channel kind of events where people say, oh, I wrote this book, but it came through me. That's kind of this gamma state. The reason I mention the states of consciousness is to start to show how our brains aren't just the waking left brain logic that we tend to think of. So when you say something audacious like we dream the world into being, how can that be so? It's because our brain is going all the time. So we're part of the web that's being woven. We're part of making choices collectively and individually. I think if we talk a little bit, let's go a little quantum, that might pull this together. So quantum physics is showing us that nothing's real until it's observed. Ancient wisdom keepers have always known this. And when you access that part of the great matrix of creation, that's where you can change reality by altering the entire dream. Let's ground that into something more specific. Let's look at the biology, the electromagnetism of emotion. How does our emotional frequency shape fields? Emotions aren't just feelings like happy, sad. They are that, but they're also, emotions is like energy in motion. So they're frequency signatures. They're like little beacons broadcasting like actual energy that can create an internal coherence or disharmony. And you can look at the work of the Heart Math Institute. If this fascinates you, you can go really deep into how's our emotional and heart coherence impacting fields of energy around us. Because just as like DNA shapes the physical body, that heart resonance and coherence kind of informs the cosmic body, if you want to call it that. It's like a really subtle architecture of concepts like attraction and entanglement. So you get into the quantum physics of it. So you have conscious observation collapsing things into form. Potential collapses into form. The wave collapses. That's the quantum physics bit, right? If thought is a signal, right, and emotion is an amplifier, then emotionally aligned observation impacts which things are collapsing. What wave is going to collapse by choice? We have choice about where we're interacting, which wave is going to collapse. This is emotionally aligned observation. This is us resculpting reality. It's like your heart's a tuning fork. And the universe is the sounding board. And there's co-creation happening. Okay, it's not just positive thinking, because positive thinking isn't enough. If positive thinking was enough, you'd say, I'm rich. I love being rich. And then you could be rich, right? But it's like if your nervous system is like, no, you're not. and you feel it in your stomach, you're like, oh, yeah, no, I got to make rent or whatever it is. The unspoken parts are louder than the spoken parts. That's why affirmations only work if they're fully embodied affirmations, because it's that embodied emotional state. Scientists speak of, entanglement and fields of possibility, and earth keepers speak of dreaming the world into being. And somewhere in between, those things happen. And our science and language and terminology and education and way of explaining it is just beginning to touch the surface on that. So I'm going to stop trying at that point to explain that piece of it, and just move on to, if you can suspend disbelief long enough to think, okay, so what if we are dreaming our world into being? What does that look like? Let's look at some practices for dream weaving and dream shaping, intentionally, courageously, with a purpose of dreaming a better world into being. All right, dream incubation. You can set an intention before you go to sleep at night. You can set an intention for a daydream during the day. You can engage in hypnagogic lollyganging. So on a Saturday morning or on some time after a nap where you don't have to rush out of bed and get on to the next thing, allow yourself that liminal space to just imagine. And imagine your dreams coming true. Imagine a better world. Imagine with your heart's electromagnetic feelings what that would look like and feel like. Okay, creative activation is absolutely another way to engage in this electromagnetic feeling of heart with, mind-focused attention on let's collapse the wave into something beautiful through art, movement, sound, ecstatic dance. It's another form of dreaming. It's like the movement of dreaming or dreaming in movement. All right, to ground this a little bit more specifically for you, I'm going to give you a little exercise called Your Perfect Day. Okay, and this is from Alberto Villoldo's Courageous Dreaming on page 177. Let's see. In a state of lucid reverie, visualize your perfect day. Imagine the people you interact with and the quality of your conversations. Hear yourself speaking truths that need to be spoken, as well as saying, I love you. I forgive you. I'm sorry. And anything else you need to say to people or make amends to. See what you eat, where you are, what happens before you fall asleep at night, and picture every single little detail. And then ask yourself, what can I do before this evening ends to experience every element of that perfect day From the emotions you feel to the interactions and adventures you have, how can you bring the tropical beach into your world when it's bitterly cold outside? When you ask yourself what you can do to make this perfect day happen, that is you collapsing the weight. The perfect day. Describe your perfect day as though it's already happened. What time did you wake up? Did you wake up with good energy? How did it feel? What was your activities for the day? What did you do first? Did you have a little morning ritual? Who did you speak to? What was the weather like? Where did you go? Did you say, I love you to anyone? Did you say, I forgive you? Did you say, let's play? Describe your perfect day. What are you having for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? How are you feeling? How does your body feel? What's your energy level like? What activities are you engaged in? How do you wrap up your day? Do you have an evening ritual? And what are you thinking when you climb into bed that night? All right, so we've just activated your perfect day. And so now it's in your mind, and your mind is looking for it. Your mind is a great servant, but a terrible master. It is looking for ways to create that perfect day because you've set out the pattern that you wanted. You've sort of attempted to collapse the wave of potential into this scenario because you've put out there what is perfect to you, which is going to be different than what's perfect to someone else. Here's another exercise you can do to help kind of shift and see how does what we're thinking and feeling and emoting impact what's happening. In the perfect day exercise, if I didn't already make that clear, as you go through days after having done this exercise, or if you do it frequently, you start to remember in these moments during the day of what is wanted, and you begin to see and notice where it's matching and where it isn't, and you begin to make your choices based on that. And then it's like the butterfly effect. More waves of potential collapse into something more specific to you. There's a comedian who became transformational speaker, Kyle Cece, and he developed something he calls the Lego exercise. And he'll pull people up on stage in these big, transformational weekends. And he'll say, what's your dream? Where do you want to be in a year, 2 years, 5 years? And someone will say, I want to publish my book. And he'll say, okay, now give us the story of how it happened. Today, your book has been published. And pretend that this day where you're here in this, having this activity, pretend that was a year ago. What happened in the course of that 12 months to get you from where you are right now to a place where you have the published book? But you have to speak it as though you're already there. And then your mind gets to work saying, okay, well, 12 months ago, I attended a event. And in that event, there was an exercise about how to make your dreams come true. And I knew I wanted to be an author. Well, I was so excited and jazzed up about that when I left, I finished up the book. I only had a few chapters left. But I really didn't know how to get it published. But then on as a weird circumstance, my brother-in-law who worked for a company that had somebody who published books, we ended up at the same party, and I started talking to them, and they're like, oh, we're really looking for that kind of book that you're publishing. And then suddenly I had a contact in the publishing industry, and it really is like just making it up. It's just from your imagination. And you go on to explain how within a year, now all of a sudden the book is published. It's like a mapping exercise that gives your brain a chance to see how it could happen. It's opening to possibilities. It's not dictating exactly how something's going to happen, but it's putting out the electromagnetic feeling and the biological systems to say, this is what we want. My own learning about how we dream the world into being was introduced to me through a shamanic course and apprenticeship I did through the lineage of Alberto Villoldo, the Four Winds. And he wrote this book, Courageous Dreaming, How Shamans Dream the World into Being. And I want to read this little excerpt from you. The Earth Keepers believe that the world is real, but only because we've dreamed it into being. But dreaming requires an act of courage. For when we lack it, we have to settle for the world that's being created by our culture or by our genes, our genetics. we feel we have to settle for a nightmare. To dream courageously, we must be willing to use our hearts. There's something called a momentum tunnel that Alberto talks a lot about. An example of being stuck in a momentum tunnel might be you're working so many hours a week, you never have time to creatively explore any of your passions in the evenings or weekends because you're overtired and don't have the energy or inspiration. And so days, weeks, months, years go by and you haven't quite gotten to pursuing your passions like you wanted to. We'll look at the 4 main timelines of your life: love, power, money, and health, and see how if each of those are like a cord going into this momentum tunnel, how are they working together? What are the patterns that you tend to do in all these major aspects of your life that keep you kind of stuck in that momentum tunnel? And we can shift some things to give you more flexibility and possibility. An example in another one of Alberto Villoldo's books is you're driving down the highway with a washer and dryer in your truck, and you're going too fast to make the corner, but you need to make this corner. And so you spin, and then the washer and the dryer go flying out of the truck because you didn't have the foresight or insight to slow the truck down to make the corner, because the momentum of the vehicle was so strong that you didn't realize how soon you were upon that corner. The same thing happens in our lives all the time. So anyway, if you want some help with that, that's one of my specialties. So if that's of interest, reach out. Our website's moonfeatherhollow.com. And if you just need a little whimsical invitation to just get you more in touch with wonder and possibility, our Cosmic Wonder Eggs course is a 5-part email series. Because we believe wonder needs to be within reach, we've got this accessibly priced at just $22, not because it's a low value course. It's because it's meant to be spread. It's meant to inspire more sacred sparks. It's the perfect place to recalibrate or start something new, or just begin that work of breaking out of a momentum tunnel. And it's the perfect place to expand what you thought was possible for your own life. Again, check it out at moonfeatherhollow.com. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Exploring Mystère. Remember, you don't have to solve all the mysteries. You only have to wonder what happens when you invite enchantment into your life. Wisdom is always near, shimmering in the spaces between thought and form. So if you felt something stir within you, follow it. I'd love to hear about your dreams, synchronicities, and questions that are part of this living field we are co-creating. To explore further, you can visit us at moonfeatherhollow.com for courses, coaching, and lunar tools like our Dream War of Moonlit Alchemy. This is our guided journal for dream weaving and intuitive reflection. And if Exploring Mystère feels like home, please share it with a fellow seeker or leave a review. Your voice is part of the living field. Until next time, may you walk gently with the mystery and let the shimmer show you the way.